Birch dog.
Yep. Okay, we're gonna get started here. Hold on. 6:30, I call the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission, meeting number 1882 to order. We are at the John Daly Meeting Room at East Windsor Town Hall, and we also are live via Zoom. We have 4 regular members and 1 alternate. So Wayne, I'll have you sit in tonight on any voting. Added agenda items? None? We have a legal notice. PZ 2024-14, applicant owner Rye Street Businesses Park LLC located at 95 Rye Street is requesting a special use permit site plan modification for a change in site plan to allow outside storage and change in use for a large building to be used as a museum and meeting for private club. Map 067, block 48, lot 024, zone M1. Full copy application available at the Planning and Zoning Commission's webpage and town website. All interested person may attend a meeting and provide verbal or written comments regarding this application. And this was also in the Journal Enquirer, September 13th, 2024, and September 20th, 2024. Legal notice. Okay. Next on the agenda. Public participation. This is a public participation. Anybody has anything? Anyone want to speak on something that is not on tonight's agenda? Anybody? Is there anybody on Zoom? Anybody on Zoom would like to speak? Okay. Moving on. Approval of minutes. Any edits, corrections, typos? The meeting was not that long. Last meeting.
I see line 64. Following PZC should be meeting, MEETING. It's MEETIN. Small little typo.
Anybody else? That being said, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from our Tuesday, September 24th meeting 1881, with the correction in line 64, adding the G to the word meeting that's missing.
Motion is made by Ann. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any discussion? All's in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay. Next. Performance bonds. None. Continue public hearings. None. New public hearings. Again, PZ 2024-14. Applicant owner Rye Street Business Park LLC requesting a special use permit modification of approved site plan at 95 Rye Street to allow outside storage and change in use for a large building to be used as a museum and meeting place for private club. Map 67, block 48, lot 24, zone M1. Anybody here for this applicant?
It's like this place to set that up over here.
It's fine, over there in the corner. Or we pulled up there. Commission will have copies.
Put it up here in case, we got two avenues to approach it.
Setting up, where do the farm, here's that coming?
So it's after this, right after this, it's down in other business. So after this hearing, we'll be there next.
All right. Evening, Chair and for the record, my name is Guy Hesketh. I'm a licensed professional engineer with the firm F.A. Hesketh Associates. Corporate office is located in East Granby, Connecticut, and Our firm assisted Mr. Dearborn in the application, so we put together the site plan that you have as part of your package and the narrative and the application materials that were submitted. And we're representing the applicant, Rye Street Business Park LLC. The site is located at 95 High Street, map 67, block 44. It's in the M1 zone. We're here tonight requesting a special use permit. Two things. One is to allow the operation of a museum, and the other is to have a private club meet there. Those are permitted under section 304 of your zoning regulations. In addition to that, we're looking for a modification to approved site plan because as part of this operation, we're going to have to do some parking configuration to meet parking count for the museum. We've got a couple outdoor display areas we're looking at, some outside storage areas. So we've represented what we're looking to do here on the site plan. So the facility's been there for a number of years. It consists of two buildings. The larger building that's here, it's about 32,500 square feet. And the second building over here, bigger building 3 on the plan is 7,200 square foot. So building 1 is this larger building. Building 2 is a little 10 by 20 shed with a 10 by 20 canopy over it that recently installed here as part of a reception center for the museum. That's building 2. Building 3 is this building here. So building 1 historically has been used for a number of things. When the facility was first constructed, I think it was back in the 70s. Is that when it was built, somewhere around there? A number of years ago. It was a manufacturing facility. It was a facility for a number of years. The most recent applications that came in for this, there was an automotive repair use part of this building here, and another gentleman did some machinery repair. Those uses are now gone. Those were permitted as commissioned a number of years ago. There's site plans that are on file, and then the site plan was done when this industrial building up here, the 7,200 square foot building was built back in, I think, 2005 or 2004. I think the application came in somewhere around there. So historically, this had a number of operations related to industrial manufacturing, commercial automotive use. Those are now all been vacated. This is the building here that's the subject of the special permit. The applicant wants to operate a tractor museum there for agricultural equipment, tractors, farming equipment, implements, things of that nature. The building here, that's located number building 3, currently is occupied by an outfit that does automobile transport. They have a number of tractor trailer trucks that they park here. They do transporting of those vehicles. It also is an office and a workshop related to that operation. They do some equipment repair in there. Again, my understanding is that those activities are currently permitted for the operation. So the facility is served by a private well water, and also septic system. And it's just a little bit of the historical background. So the museum itself will be used to display historic tractors, agricultural equipment, implements. Most of that will take place indoor in the building. There's also a little lounge area here that has some indoor displays of some smaller things, like curio cabinets with models and things of that nature, paraphernalia related to farming implements and museum, that type of equipment. There's an office here that will remain. And then there's an area here that'll receive the equipment, and some maintenance of the equipment will be done on there before the equipment's displayed. There is, as I mentioned, a reception area that's located here with access from a door here. This will be the primary entrance located here. And then when events are taking place, there'll be access through here. There is also a few areas as you come down where there's some outdoor equipment displayed. There is a pole mounted tractor that you'll see on the plan that's out here. You can notice it when you're driving by. It has a international tractor on it. Farmall, right? So, the club itself will be from a local chapter or tractor club. That Steve's in discussions with some members of clubs that are here in this region. And basically, those are just a group of people that are interested in farm equipment. They have tractor collections themselves. They get together, organize displays for different fairs in the region. The Big E, things like that. If you go to a place and there's equipment that's displayed in events, they get together and they just discuss how they do that. They pull their collection, transport the equipment to museums, to other events that are occurring. Again, 4-H events, parades, things of that nature. So hence, that's the reason for the club itself. So it's not a kind of club that you would have dinner and parties and things like that. It's just a club of gathering of like-minded people that have an interest in the hobby, an interest in preserving the history of the agriculture in Connecticut and New England, and put on, get together to plan and put on events. So the plan changes, those are the issues that are related to the special permit. So it would be the museum, the siting and operation of the museum, and then to allow a private club to meet there to do their organizational activities. Site plan changes, because we have a different use than is there now, we have to look at your regulations to determine what your parking count would be. Your regulations don't have a specific generation number or number of minimum spaces required for museum use. Typically, parking spaces are based on square foot use. So we looked at the Institute of Traffic Engineering, the ITE manual, and they have a requirement. What they recommend is 1 space per 1,000 square feet. So we did our math on this, came up with a parking table. You'll see it that describes how many parking spaces required. In addition to the use over here, the contractor, the workshop, a total of 45 spaces that are needed on the site. So we're showing where 45 spaces are located. Museum space is primarily located in this area. ADA space for the museum here, another ADA space up here, and then parking spaces for this operation would be located here and in this area located. Some of these spaces will be designed for that space, for that operation, or that use. We also show some areas of some outdoor storage that are located here, again, screened from view, meeting the required setbacks. We have tractor trailer parking area that's located here for the user of building number 3. Your regulations are a loading area that's delineated. We have one here that's an at-grade loading area. It's not a loading dock. That's just a placeholder. Some equipment or supplies come in that shows that a full-size tractor trailer truck can maneuver the site, has a place to actually station while the loading and unloading is going on. Site lighting will not change. There are a number of site lighting wall packs that are on the building. We show those on the plan. Those will be the lighting that are provided for the operation. We do anticipate additional light here at the entrance that have to be put in. This canopy does have some down lighting, but again, if the building official needs specific light above a doorway or something like that, we do show those on the plan as something that we will install. So there's nothing, it's not going to be overly lit. The existing lighting that's utilized. Last year, in July of 2023, your Aquifer Protection Agency reviewed the site and the operations with the operations that were happening at that point in time, a year ago or so. And as part of the requirements, the applicant was required to develop and generate follow-up materials management plan that basically said what type of chemicals and uses are on the site, how they're stored, how they're managed, how they're protective of the aquifer. Your commission, your Aquifer Protection Agency did issue a certificate and approval of that. That's on the record. The applicant agrees to continue following that as part of his operation. There are 2 conditions as part of that. One was for the materials management plan, and another one was to take a look at the areas that are paved and to resurface those. That hasn't been done yet. The applicant has agreed to do that as part of the operation of the museum. There are 2 types of pavement that are out there. There's standard hot mix bituminous pavement, which is put down, and then that's been supplemented around the periphery of the site and in other areas with a finely ground bituminous filling material. When that's placed and compacted, it has hydraulic characteristics or permeability characteristics that are on par with that of hot mix asphalt. The applicant is proposing to freshen up the areas that need to be repaired, make it paving of the entire area. Do some spot pavements in the areas that have spot repairs in areas that have degraded hot mix, and then areas that are degraded where the millings have been placed historically. He's going to freshen those up, recompact those. I understand that has been accepted by this commission and other applications in town. Looking at a memorandum that was created by J.R. Russo, March 2023. And they're rendering an opinion on another application at 124 Newberry Road. Where I think the question that come up is the use of ground up bituminous packaging acceptable for what your regulations refer to as adequate all-weather surface, which regulations require. Tim Kuhn opined that was his opinion. We did submit that as part of the record, just because as a professional engineer, I feel that's also an application for the use that we have here. And when properly placed and compacted, those materials do provide a hard surface, impervious surface. So again, it could be in compliance with the Aquifer Protection Agency approval that was granted last year to get in. That's pretty much my presentation at this point. I'm sure there's going to be some questions. So if there are any questions, we certainly be glad to answer them. I think some of the things that the commission is going to consider are the, let me backtrack a little. Let me just finish one more thing before in your regulations under section 701, there's a narrative that's required for discussion as to how we comply with your plan of conservation and development, and also special permit criteria under section 701, which basically is this in harmony with the neighborhood? Is this use appropriate? Those kind of things. So I did provide a narrative of several pages. I think you guys have all seen it. I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of that, but if you want to talk more detail, we certainly can. One thing I do want to stress is that, given the agricultural history and the historical history of East Windsor, that this special use is right in line with that because it does provide a lot of historical preservation. Mr. Dearborn drove one of his tractors out here. I don't know if you've seen it in the parking lot, just beautiful machine. The museum is just, the equipment in there is absolutely gorgeous, but it does kind of capture the historical elements of the town and the historical agricultural background, and does a preservation for so many people now that just don't really understand where their food comes from, the historic elements in the community and how it was agriculturally based. This is going a long way in cultural integrity of the town. So I think it's a great use for that. So having said that, I'll sit down and write down any questions you may have and be able to answer those.
Okay, we'll go down the line. We'll start with Ann first.
I have a few questions. It's on private well and septic. Have we heard that from North Central Health District that everything is acceptable for, I'll say, a public use here from North Central?
Yeah, that's interesting. Want me to address one?
Yeah, please. It's one of my questions too.
Yeah, that's a good question. We do have an inquiry and have been communicated with North Central Health District. And one of the requirements, there's two things as you mentioned. One has to do with the capacity of the septic system. Can it handle the flow? Unfortunately, North Central Health District doesn't have any records of this facility. Town doesn't have any records of this facility. Back in the 70s, my guess is it probably was the town and their sanitarian that would have issued the permits. And at some point when North Central District Health District got involved, the member towns, those records would have been transferred. They looked through their files. We did find information on the well. We don't have anything on the septic. What they requested is to have a licensed septic installer for the production of the facility. Steve has talked to Mr. Pippin. I think he's scheduled to go out there in the next couple of days or so. Tomorrow. So he's gonna actually go out there and he's going to touch the system, give his opinion on the performance of that system, and then we'll send that information over to North Central Health District.
I guess I'm also asking, I don't know what your maximum number of people you would anticipate in a day, but can the septic take waste from that many people?
Well, that's
They're
what
gonna
he's
use it.
gonna opine on. It's, you know, historically, when this was a manufacturing facility, I think at one time, there were over 25 employees per day there, for 8 hours a day. There's no reports that they have on record. Of course, that may not say anything because they don't have records, but I'm not aware of any emergencies occurred there. So it's probably acceptable, but again, we have to close
You have to,
that
okay.
loop. And the other question on the well is, in the state of Connecticut, if you have a public use of a well, you are required, if you have a certain trigger of over 60 days
25 people
per
and
year, 25 people, for 60 days, you have to get a permit for a transient well.
non-community water
Not a community
system.
well. Yeah, so we're aware of that. We have been communicating with them. His operation, what he's,
Then you have to do water quality testing, I think.
yeah, there's water quality testing and there may be other stuff.
Yep.
The question is I haven't got a clear response from North Central on that yet. Their response to me was, let's get the septic system issue resolved. And she had spoke to Wesley Rod and she's gonna try to get that determined as to triggers that. We're gonna be significantly below the 60 days. Because the operation or the number of events that they're proposing to have here is probably gonna average one per weekend or less. So that would give it a total of 50 days per year.
So that brings me to, you have a museum and you have a club. So what are the, I'll say, hours and days of the museum and hours and days of the club?
Yeah.
Because
And
they're
that's,
both generating people.
Let me speak a little bit
Yeah.
here on all this. Look,
you have to say your name.
We're not-
Name for the record, Steve, name for the record.
Yeah, say your name for the record.
pardon?
You have to say your name for the
I'm
record.
Steve Dearborn. East, Road on Broadbrook here, and that's my property now. Me and the wife said, and we've started this, this isn't gonna become a job. Okay, this isn't gonna be a job. It's supposed to be fun. All right. This thing is not gonna be open during the week
Oh, okay.
to start with. It'd be open Saturdays and Sundays. Okay. We've had a couple of private things there and we had the Red Power Group that collects these tractors, red tractors, Internationals Farm 'em. They also have old trucks in there, Internationals, along with the tractors. So we hosted that. This is my location for that. They wanted to use it for their meeting, their gathering. And I think, that day we didn't have 100 people. And they were there for, I think 5 hours. That's it, not long things. And for that, I brought in, which I'm gonna do anyway, probably, is, I brought in some, porta potties. I also brought in a regular one, I brought in one for handicappers. Okay, and that, I'm gonna continue to probably do that. So the older people that can't make it to the handicap bathroom fast enough, they can go to that one.
Have a chance.
Have a problem when they get older, oh. So it's gonna be weekend stuff, and it isn't gonna be every weekend.
So,
It's probably gonna be maybe at the most every other week.
so when I hear museum, I think of like the air museum by the
No,
airport.
no,
It's
this
not
ain't
that
gonna
kind of
be-
scale.
It's gonna be a line of cars coming in there. Okay, it's gonna be in the private clubs, you know, like we had the Scannick Valley engine. And they do tractors and they do hit and miss mowers. Okay, I think we had, for that one, 30 people. That was it. These are small meetings, you know. And then we had the, The club I belong to is the Historical Antique Truck Society, which is national. We're the Nutmeg chapter. So, you know, these clubs, they all float around to different people's garages. You know, they don't have just one place they go to for every meeting. They go to different ones, share it. I mean, so they picked me. And it was great. We had, I think, 2 or 3 guys drove in their antique trucks for us. And I think we had maybe 40 people to that one. And they go through their meeting and their minutes, just like you do here. That's what all these clubs do. They do just what you're doing here. Okay?
So the museum isn't like a public museum where,
No, it's not a public museum.
okay, that's what I wasn't clear on.
It's not.
No,
Right
thanks.
now, it's not. But I want to hold things like maybe a couple events during the summer, like Family Day. Okay?
Yep,
Where the families.
Like an open house.
Good time, we have hay rides, and we'll bring his horses there and, you know, just make it a good day, you know? But this is not gonna be a job, it's not gonna be like the Air Museum, no. Because if it is gonna become a job, because I'm getting ready to slow it down, then I won't do it. I'll go in there and sit there in the, you know, rocking chair and drink a beer and look at my own stuff.
But for the record, we're gonna need hours of operation on a motion. There's no operation anywhere.
There's no real hours of operation there, you know, and even on a weekend. Probably wouldn't start anything up there until like 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I'm saying, maybe some will come at 8 if they're bringing their old truck or something, you know, whatever. And it's not gonna run maybe 5 o'clock. You know, because people get bored after a while and they all wanna go home, like with anything. So it's not gonna be a long run ordeal over there. Okay, it's gonna be putting it in, like we heard from a lot of people. I got rid of all the bums that didn't wanna pay me rent. That were polluters with their oil and whatever else, we got rid of all of them. So the impact on that property up there, on that aquifer, is 90% less, yes, than what it was. And I use one bay, I call it the preparation bay. I ain't gonna tell you what the wife calls it, but that's where I work on my stuff, you know, in there. And before I put it in the museum part, you know, with all the nice pretty stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it's between the Opera House and this. I'll be able to put Broadbrook on the map. I just went to an auction in Pennsylvania and picked up like this one out here and another one. And when the auctioneer said, well, going from one collector up to another museum in Connecticut, at the end of that thing, I couldn't get away from people. They actually wanted to come and see my collection. These people are into this stuff, this collection stuff, you know? And they want to come here from Pennsylvania on a day trip to come here and look at it. And they asked me, well, when are you open? I said, we haven't set any times yet. We're not open to the public yet. You know, we've just been doing our own little private stuff, you know? A lot of people really are into this stuff and they want to come. They want to come here and look at my stuff, and the people that go in there are dumbfounded. They can't believe what's in that building up there, you know? And I've only been at this, I think, for about 11 years. We did Pippin through that Red Power magazine on me up there at that Board of Selectmen meeting that night. It's like an addiction, stuff, you know? But whatever, it's a good one. And but yeah, it's not gonna be a lot of hours and everything. And you know, I opened up the tanks today. Got all the lids off for Pippin to come tomorrow. The tanks were all down about 1.5 to 2 foot below the top. So that right there tells me everything's working good, you know. I don't see any issues with those actually with North Central, you know. And as far as the water goes, we're not gonna use my water, which we have a hell of a well there because we're sitting on an aquifer. It's good water, but we're not using that water for drinking. Okay, it's all gonna be bottled water and soft drinks or whatever, you know, iced tea, whatever. And we got a refrigerator in there that we load up with all of that. So people who want water, they can have it, but we don't plan on using my
Taking
water
from the
for
well.
drinking. We've got a water fountain that the other company had put in, but we're not gonna use it, taking that out. It's all gonna be bottled water to keep on my property up there. or what they bring themselves, and bring coffee or whatever, But, what else I need to say about this?
I guess that,
I guess
The
that
other-
about covers it.
well, there's the open issue of health department approval. And today Connecticut Water sent a letter about the aquifer protection area and what their expectation is. Did you get that letter, and can you address that letter?
Yeah, I did see the letter, and I disagree with them from the standpoint of, the difference between the two. I think properly compacted, millings are an adequate pervious surface. I agree with, J.R. Russo's assessment of that. And that would be our proposal to do that, to the outside, that currently have the millings on. And that was something that had gone through, a review, and I think we adequately address that with the proposal that we have. That would be the applicant's position on it as well.
So would it make sense for them to talk to Connecticut Water Company? Or do you agree that it's been addressed?
This just came into.
Yeah,
Right.
let's
Right.
keep going.
So,
Yeah, if I could
Okay.
interject, I mean, they're, the purview of what would be acceptable really falls with this commission. I think they're an advisory panel. But the decision as to what is adequate would have to be made with this commission. It's my opinion that it would be adequate the way that we propose.
Let's keep going with the process and we'll take that later. Any other
And
questions, Jen?
I have one other question. I don't know how many parking spaces there are today versus how many you're gonna have in the future, but my question becomes, would this trigger that EV parking? When you put in new parking spaces, or these pre-existing spaces?
I don't think it applies to this type of.
not a commercial use.
Okay, okay. That's all my questions.
Dave?
I only, and covered most of mine. Geez, the only thing I have is emergency vehicles, emergency service vehicles. You're gonna have people coming in. Obviously, there's parking in the front. Do you guys have room to handle emergency services vehicles in the front? To spin around fire trucks coming in?
If I could interject on that, I believe that the application has been reviewed by public safety as far as police and fire, and that they've opined that.
It has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that was the big thing I was worried about. Thank you. Of course.
Stacy?
Okay for now? Pass to Wayne.
Wayne?
Hey, yes, I just wondered about a couple things here. The outdoor storage, what kind of outdoor storage would you be having?
I just got some old stuff parked out there.
Like your tractors for
Yeah,
your,
old tractor cultivators and stuff. I got, some of my dump trailers just parked there along the backside that I'm not using right now.
that's just general storage.
Pardon?
It'll be general storage,
Yeah, it would be inert materials. There wouldn't be anything that would be
Right,
like
right.
leaking or anything like that.
right?
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't have any piles of dirt or pipe or that kind of stuff, like a contractor yard.
right.
No, I don't have any of that kind of stuff there. I have some of these rubber mats that I sell with the plate mount stuff for handicap plate mounts. I have some pallets of them stacked up there. But,
Basically just general storage. What about a sign? You planning on putting a sign now down near the road?
no,
No, okay. You're adding to the parking lot with millings and you're gonna compact it, right?
That's correct, yeah.
What's gonna happen to the additional water that you're gonna,
We're not really adding any additional impervious here. We're just gonna repair what's there now. It's been there for a number.
you're
of
not
years.
extending the parking area?
No,
no.
no.
Okay,
Yeah, that whole area back there has been treated, many years ago with a combination bituminous and the compacted mix.
right, it's,
So historically, it's operated like that for a number of years.
and you're parking in back, but the main entrance is in front, right? Is that the way you understand it?
Well, we're calling it sort of the reception area is located here. My understanding, that's primarily for somebody who needs access from a wheelchair in that area. when the museum is open, there'll also be access in this area here. There's a number of doors and overhead doors in that area that will allow access to them.
So you have handicap access is gonna be from the rear also at street level, like,
Yeah, they're all level. There's a sidewalk and a ramp that's here now that allows access to a man door that's located right there. And
and the
then
bathrooms are already handicapped.
I think there may be, you have one of the things, ADA, right?
And spent a fortune on that bathroom.
Mhm.
The one that was there and had it all done over.
So it's handicap
It's
accessible.
handicapped accessible 100%, and the other handicapped areas in the back, you've got 4 big overhead doors. And when you open them up, they're level with the parking lot.
Perfect.
So like leaving enough room so even if it's raining, they can drive the person inside the building and unload them inside the building if they
Good.
want,
Good.
you know, bad weather.
And you've had the building official.
Yeah, the building official, that'll be all his purview anyways.
Excuse me?
The building official, that'll be also his purview anyways, inside. That's not ours.
I'm not talking, been in there recently.
Did the fire department check this out at all, Steve? The fire department.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been out, I mean,
Everything was fine.
right here, the met with the town engineer, fire marshal have reviewed the plans, take no exceptions to
Okay.
the plans as presented. So they both signed off on it.
Think it'll have any impact in the neighborhood? I mean, you're gonna be starting up
As
engines,
far as what?
noise,
Noise?
yeah.
Yeah, if I could address that, the special use permits we're looking for, the operation of the museum and the club, which are would be significantly less disruptive than any as-of-right permit. So, for example, if the M1 zone does allow for manufacturing, somebody could occupy that building and conduct a manufacturing operation that would make a lot more noise than what the museum would do, and they could operate 6-7 days a week. So this is a significantly less intrusive or intense use. So in our opinion, it's going to be much less disruptive to any of the residential uses that are out there versus what potentially could be in the site. Right. So, yeah, it'll be quiet.
It's not there now, but I get it.
No, yeah. It's not there now, but it's still, it's very quiet. It's the majority of the activities obviously are taking place in, it's a quiet use.
That's all I have.
Does anybody else have more questions on the commission?
I just
If I,
wanted to point out, ask a question. The ADA parking spots, those need to be paved, and I see that you noted that for the handicap spot up by reception area. So the other 2 handicap spots should also be paved.
They are paved. The other ones,
Okay.
the one there by the welcome center, that's not.
Okay,
But it's an artist pavement, there's a ramp there, you can go right up it with anything, you know. It's screened, you know, these buildings, you know, you think that they come off the road, you just throw them down and roll them. We didn't do that there. We screened them out. And when we dumped them and spread them, it looked like real pavement coming out of a pavement box. And then we rolled them with a big roller. And on the back where them tractor trailers turn around, it doesn't even begin to scuff those millings up because they're so hard. You know what I mean? Just like pavement, it doesn't dig them up. It does nothing to them. That's how hard they are.
Mhm.
But, and to me, it's just as good, you know? It's fine, you know, the only thing I wanted to really pave was the driveway coming in, from the street up and past the front of the building. That's what I wanted to pave, that area there. To pave that parking lot, to pave that place, cost me $500,000. And that's like, no, that's more than I can, choke on right now.
so you're proposing to repair, right? Repair the cracks and.
Well, I have been. If the pothole came, I got hot stuff and we got the broom on the Bobcat, swept them out, we filled them in. You know, we're gonna, you know, keep up with that.
If I may, I just have one question,
Chrissy?
that's kind of been floating around for me. So, M1 manufacturing zone, the character of the zone is intended to be commercial in nature. I'm just curious, as you're talking about the cost of maintaining the site for these groups and museum visits, do you have a business plan that is somewhat commercial in nature? Just like fee schedule or,
Ever using that building again for any kind of commercial?
well, even just museum admissions or
We're not
events?
charging a penny to come
Nothing.
there.
Okay.
It's
Curious.
free. Okay, all I want is people to leave with a smile. I want. Okay, I got the rental property in the back, the other 7,200 square feet.
That will generate what you need.
Okay, so they're real good tenants. They have brand new stuff. I mean, it's nothing drips a drip of oil. They're brand new, everything. And they pay me enough money. I don't get big money. That's why they're here. You know, if they were over by the highway in the industrial park, they'd probably pay way more than they pay me. But that's enough money to keep up on things, I believe, around the property. And I'll get the year from those two people.
Okay. I mean, it's completely within the zoning to be commercial in nature. So I just was curious if you had a business.
I don't want any more tenants. I'm sick of them.
Okay.
You know, they're bums, they don't pay, you know. These people that I have in that new building that I built, back when they wanted to change the zone here, we got permitted. Before they could even think of it, they never got it done. But they pay enough for me to maintain things on that property.
Okay.
So I don't need to charge any rent.
Okay, this is a special, anybody else have anything else?
Admissions. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Very good. So this is a special use permit, so anybody from the public wishes to speak on this application, please state your name.
Oh, you.
Is that the list for this? Paul Anderson, number one.
Yeah, Paul Anderson, 89 Main Street, Rutland. I'm absolutely in favor of this. Hoping that when I visit, if I still have a frown, somebody will supply me with a smile. But no, I think it's a great idea.
Thank you, Paul. Fran, you're next.
Ben Stanley, 87 Rye. I don't know if the commission members realize this, but I am an abutter directly in front of this property. The point I'd like to make to you is I urge you to strongly consider passing this proposal tonight. Steve and Kim Dearborn have done probably more for the economic development of this community than any other single entity other than Southern Auto. The businesses that they've had out behind us, Steve has always heard over them and made sure they were respectful to the neighborhood. As a matter of fact, the town plow trucks make more noise going by the house than anybody that goes out back to his property. That's a fact. The current auto transport company, when they come by the house, there's no jake brakes, there's no banging, there's no downshifting. These guys are very respectful of the neighborhood, and I can't say enough about it. As far as the proposed use, there again, much like the Broadbrook Opera House, I think we need to take a look at what local business people have done and are going to continue to do for our community. Because you know what, they're the backbone. And Steve and Kim have run a very successful business out on Newberry Road. Prior to that, they had a very successful business, Stoneworks, down on Route 5. They paid their taxes. Steve donates, and Steve and Kim both donate a great deal of time and financial support to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And I don't see that stopping. So I would urge this commission to please strongly consider this passing. And I would urge town staff to continue to work with these people. And let's make something nice. Let's have something nice in the community. I've been through the building and it's jaw-dropping. If you haven't had the opportunity, it's going to turn you back into a little kid and you will walk out with a smile. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Anybody else from the public wish to speak in this application? Anybody online? Nobody?
Good.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna offer that we got a letter in.
Yeah.
From Jay Ursery. I'll read it for the record. So, I'm writing The PCC, at the request of longtime friends Nancy and Mark Barberi, who live at 99 Rye Street. The Barberi's property abuts the access drive to the Rye Street Business Park on the south. Upon receiving notification of the application, the Barberis asked me to review the application and plans to determine if the proposed tractor museum and private club could adversely impact their property. Upon my review, I find no site construction other than paving of existing parking area and driveway, and a change of use from commercial industrial to tractor museum and private club. The proposed use of the parcel is less intense and one that I would consider favorable to all in that neighborhood. One item that's not specifically addressed in the application is hours of operation. I would think Monday through Saturday hours might be 9 to 8 and Sunday hours 10 to 5 p.m. After review of the application and plans with Nancy and Mark, they agreed that this use is less intense than the past uses on the property, and that the Tractor Museum Club will help to preserve and promote the farming history of the town of East Windsor. Nancy and Mark asked that I convey their support on the application to the PCC.
Okay, good. So that being said, how does the commission feel? We get a couple of these little housekeeping things checked off our list, like the septic and the water? Or do you feel comfortable in moving on this application?
I think, to me, they've addressed the water by saying they just use bottled water. The question becomes the septic. And I think we need something from town staff in response to Connecticut Water Company's comments. And if this is satisfactory, those are the only two open items for me.
And on the motion, have hours operation listed, may go with the
Yes.
applicant, but everything else I like.
Yeah, I think it's a very good app.
It's going in the right direction, just a couple little house keeping things, that's. Maybe you got no feedback from the public at all, so I know
I
bad
think
feedback. from the public.
positive response from the neighbors, which is great.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we entertain a motion to leave the public open. So next application, you can come back and speak if you want. And we'll take care of the stuff in-house and we'll have a draft motion ready for you in 2 weeks. I'm good. I'll get a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing on application PZ 2024-14 for a special use permit for 95 Fry Street for a tractor museum and private club till our next regular meeting, which is October 8th.
Yes.
Filled my phone.
I want to say.
1 second.
20 second.
Till
22nd.
October, until October 22nd.
So motion made by Ann, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any discussion? I think you guys are going in the right direction, right path. You know, I think it's a positive thing for the town. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? See you in 2 weeks. Thank you. Being said,
Good for us on the house.
yeah, I don't. Okay, old business, there's none. New business, none. Farmers Workshop listening session. Ag Commission is with us today. Thank you for coming. Well, you want to take it from there?
Robert Grant, I'm the chairman of the Agricultural Commission.
For Thursday, 6:30.
Thank you. Great night.
Thank you.
POCD is the town's guidelines for the next 10 years. I think they'll like to be done. And change and encouraged. And so we're taking input from the cultural community. If you have any suggestions or anything anybody would like to see, will help promote agriculture and try to encourage young farmers to set it up. Looking for anything we can do to help. Aside from the weather. Because, and any other notions.
You know, a little something for you.
You want their name for record or no? Sure, state your name for record.
For Pond Street. I think the open space on. That should be promoted somehow, to induce younger farmers. And, you know, buy into farms, you know, some of the development right programs that are probably out there. How should, get steered into that direction a little better. It's kind of been quiet in that front. We get zero ones where the town, you know, the people almost giving the land to the town, which is great. But at the same time, that it should be kind of paying it forward.
Yeah, we have an open space fund that is funded. So we did, we went, their last major land preservation effort was on Rice Street. 117 acres that the agricultural easements from brought on it and the farm has been sold to a farmer. The owners were made whole in the end. And we have enough money to do the same thing again, basically. And we're just lacking anybody that wants to sell their development rights, sell their agricultural easements, really not selling development rights, but selling an agricultural easement, which the state will pay you for keeping it in agriculture and foregoing development, commercial or residential.
Okay, so I have a note, I have notation that to continue those efforts to finally use that open space money.
We're just lacking somebody coming forward and wanting to work with the process. So that's the.
I have a comment on that.
Name for record, please.
My name is John Foster. I'm the owner of 117 acres on Rice Street, 14th generation farmer. And I think educating landowners about the easement process and the benefits of it. They can sell the easement and retain ownership of the land and lease it, or they could sell it to another farmer. One of the challenges for young farmers is just being able to tackle the cost of getting into an agricultural business, because there's a lot of costs in starting up. All the farms that we farm now are preserved farmland. So having educating the landowners that are currently owners of farmland in this town, how that process would definitely help in getting more farmland preserved. My family's been in South Windsor for over 200 years, and one of the unfortunate things in my lifetime that's happened is South Windsor has become super developed, and there wasn't any efforts made on preserving farmland there. So really the only farmland that's going to be left in South Windsor is going to be down in the Main Street Meadows area. And you know, the upland will be gone, but East Windsor still has the opportunity, and Ellington as well. We own some farms in Ellington that to preserve in the agricultural, you know, preserve farms, preserve the mix with, and I think it adds a lot to the town by having.
The previous two POCDs, so people said that they like the rural character of town, they want to see that remains, so yeah, that's the best way to do it. You can't control anything if you don't have a stake in owning it.
Correct.
For development rights.
mention a brochure that was sent out.
Yeah, we have a brochure that's, usually in the town hall and the rack around the corner, but it's, they seem to, if we have any, I think it's empty now, but people are taking them.
How did you find it? You took advantage of the situation, but how did you know about it?
So I had been leasing that farm for quite a number of years from the previous landowner, and they had realized that selling it for development was gonna be complicated, and that they did want to get out and get the highest dollar value possible. So they were able to sell the development rights and then sell the property to me. So they actually got made whole by having, you know, the farm value plus the development right value. So it's a positive thing for all parties, because we could purchase it and still get a return in my lifetime. And, you know, they're not making any more farmland anymore. So I think it's also important for you know, local security, food, availability of food. And there are young guys that want to get into farming. One of the things that my company does is we also buy and distribute broadleaf tobacco from other farmers like Kurt and some people that are in the Connecticut River Valley. So there are young guys getting into it that want to farm. It's just super challenging when, you know, land becomes available, it's millions of dollars. So that's a lot for, you know, a guy under 30 to be able to gather the resources to do that.
We'd like to get the word out that there is money available. Is there a plan?
I'd like to add one more comment. As far as we're hearing, as much as everybody enjoys the planning and zoning commission meeting, we're here for, I didn't know we were gonna be sitting in on the hearing, but that's okay.
Well, it's tractors, it's farms.
Right.
We figured you guys would like that.
Process it, to be honest with you, as far as like to say a development versus farmland. The state puts out endless maps and research and data on prime soils in this whole valley. And it seems at times it gets overlooked, overshadowed, and taken away. And that's not right. And that just kind of backs up what Mr. Foster here was saying next. It's too easy when the big money wants to come in and get these housing developments. And I don't know if it's, you know, I'm not pointing any fingers at a board or anything, because that's just the way that the town is set up. But there should be stone wall, something in place. Like if I wanted to build a house in Winterville, you know, we could all drive around. There's probably 10 houses that are boarded up, you know, hidden that nobody sees, or these weird lots, you know, that should all be utilized first. Even if they gotta knock down a foundation to put up their house or whatever. But it just seems at times, you know, can't specify every little situation, but you know, I've been in town my whole life. And it's some of these swaths of land, you know, you look back and, you know, I was on the board with Albert for a lot of years, and it just, it's disheartening to see farms go away. It's very disheartening, and I think we went over years ago, it's cheaper in the long run for a town to own farmland and open space than to develop a house. That's just a fact.
So unfortunately, the town will run out of money.
Well, I'm
As
not
far-
saying
as
the
far
town
as-
should buy it, but the town should really put up roadblocks with these commissions and avenues, and, you know, steering developers, I don't know.
Yeah, we
We'll get sued.
yeah, we will get sued. We can't, you can't do, if someone's got the money and wants to buy 26 acres and put up a 10,000 square foot house or whatever, you can't stop.
Away people's rights.
Can't stop.
We do have overlay layers for prime soil. So if someone says get looked at, they can be looked at in that view.
Like you guys, we all live here too. We love to keep the farmland if we could, but the reality is people of the younger generation, they don't want to farm, or I don't know what you said, there were some people who were farming, but the kids rather make 100 grand or whatever on the internet doing whatever than out in the field. Like we were back at 10, 11, 12 years old, picking tobacco. I know Kirk was there too.
I think there's a bigger demand for renting farmland now than there used to be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because a lot of the farms that used to own their own farm, and that's what they farmed on. But now, some farms want to expand, and they can rent it, but they can't buy it. So it's making a turn, I think, of the value of farmland is becoming more in demand.
Well, they're building tobacco sheds, so that tells you something, right? They haven't built tobacco sheds in 30 years, until the last 5 or 6 years, right?
That ain't cheap.
No.
Folks have any thoughts?
Paul?
Yeah, Paul Anderson, 89 Main Street, Butler. Prime soil, once it's given up, it's gone for good. Zoning regulations can be modified to incorporate the state's maps and say that there's great limitations on what you can do in prime soil areas. If it doesn't say it today, it could say it tomorrow.
Maybe that's something we could look into, because,
That's my.
Tobacco Valley is a very small valley.
It is. And the soil is incredibly good.
I have, I'll have to make more copies if I run out, but just an excerpt from the current plan of conservation and development. And there's the action to preserve the agricultural component of East Windsor. And one of the considerations is supportive standards. And it talks about working with this commission to be more farm friendly, and then consider soil type, which is the conversation we're having now, particularly prime and secondary agricultural soils when making decisions on development proposals, and to encourage farming entrepreneurism. But it's for you guys.
Yeah.
Just so you have
Thank you. Idea.
have a few more. Want more, if there's anybody who wants to get it. So the intuition's right on. It's it's one we can highlight for making some.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there hasn't that many developments coming through lately. Big developments, at least in the last couple of years. Things have slowed down a lot. But who knows when it could change and interest rates go down and it picks back up again as far as developers go.
You know, I'd like to reiterate what I said. Okay. It's fine to have it in the POCD, but if you don't incorporate those ideas into zoning regulations, they're just words off to the side. And we actually need to control within the confines of what we're allowed to control. But if you put it in the regulations, then you can manage it.
In the back, anything?
Jim Spencer, 221 North River, in Brunswick. I'm not sure if this falls into this meeting, not a zoning situation, but the education system in East Windsor, to take the money we already spend and have it all in place, put some effort into looking at students to see if they're capable of electric, wood, metal, farming, plants, to start a new farmer from primary school, then through high school. Maybe get more students in VOAG. Rockville VOAG is like 130 to 150 VOAG students in their program from 10 towns. East Windsor is one of those. But Vernon and Rockville has a lot of that. We already have all of this in place in our education system. If we can lean a little more into looking for students that are possibilities to put that effort into them to fix Mr. Foster's problem. When the next generation comes, where is the next generation? So all of this work really is not good if someone's not going to use it.
So I bought 14 acres of raw land on 140 in 2005 for $280,000 just for the land. If I was to try and farm that, I would never make my third mortgage payment. So we know you can't buy land and farm it. It's impossible. I do believe that society's income is way up here. Over time, when the farmer is down here at like $4.20 an hour, if you calculate the amount of hours the farmer works, and the farmer self-employed, he has no benefits, no retirement. We have nothing. I actually have a horse farm and hay and lumber. And when you stop farming, the faucet shut off. You are never going to get another paycheck. So if you take an individual that makes $74,000 a year from the Wallingford Fire Department, retired, no, in 20 years, that's like 1.4 something million that the farmer has to set aside so he can live 20 years after not working, or he has to really like do well. And so, yeah, the tobacco does well, but it doesn't always do well. Doesn't do well, it sucks it right out of your bank. We can't really change that. We need to look at that and grab this nugget and say, what are we really going to do? Start new farmers coming up, and that starts in Grammersville. I'm an FFA student from Rockville. I still use what I learned today at 67 years old. I'm on Social Security. I don't have a paycheck. And I have to make enough money with these horses in the hay to pay my taxes and insurance. So you take a self-employed elderly person without a whole lot of money, I gotta make $7,000 every 6 months for my taxes and insurance. Nothing else. I don't go on vacation. I'm not complaining because I'm very happy at what I'm doing. I can smell the hay. He knows how the vegetables and the dirt smells. So put some effort into the children. I don't think we put enough effort into the children.
I agree.
Student that comes to the farm from the Rockville Village that works with me, and I have to pay the student, teach the student how to work on the farm. They said, no, you have to pay her. I said, okay, I'll pay her. But getting the experience of driving my truck for the first time ever and my tractor the other day, hands-on workshops where students from East Windsor go to the farm and actually try it out. Because you don't know until you try it out, right? We already have all this in place, so if somehow this town is trying to really focus a little more energy into that, that is the hope of our future. It's the children. Thanks.
So I think the worst thing that the schools ever did would take all the trades out of the schools, all the woods, the metals, farm, all that stuff. They took it all out. And the generations nowadays don't have a chance to even, even see this side of life. They're too busy on their video games. Mr. Muska? Oh, you want to speak? Yeah.
I think by and large, the town has been very supportive of agriculture. As I'm sitting here, a thought that I had was a few years ago when my grandson was probably 8, maybe 7 or 8. He brought up in northern New Jersey, and although New Jersey's got a lot of farms, but not in northern Jersey. Not fair, upper Shadow River, a lot of money. But he said, you've got a lot of farms around here. And it just seemed to love to come up. Of course, now he's in college and he's majoring in physics, or I don't know, it's really a bright boy. And it was fun to watch him. And the only concern I had was that, my God, if he becomes interested, becomes a farmer, my daughter Amy would never speak to me again. So he just, he sort of got out of that, and he comes back now and then. And, I'm sure as part of his psyche, he'll remember, he spent a lot of time with us first 10 years of his life. I think he would prefer to live with us, but he was out in the orchard and picking apples, and even helped us prune and helped us make cider and bottle cider. The first time he did that, most of the cider was on a cement floor, but I feel blessed that this community is quite supportive of agriculture. and, I hope it continues.
Thank you.
I know one thing, our children are not interested in the slightest in continuing our farm. We have 1,100 apple trees. We have, the best soil you could, I mean, like 2 feet of topsoil, super duper, I mean. So that's been a real concern for us because it's a nice piece of property. The view is tremendous from the top of our hill. We can see Summers Mountain. We can see that tower over in town under Rockville. So it's just a matter of, we don't want to give this up. But we're both 81 years old. So if you want to look at it that way, we're operating, on the edge as far as what we can really do. It's very complicated to do. Like last year, we were open for 11 days because that's all we had to sell. Due to the rain, the droughts, whatever happened last year, the freezing in May, you have all these factors that are going around in your mind. This year has been wonderful. We have the best crop we've ever had in years. It's just so risky that you can't blame a farmer for selling their land. You want to preserve the soil, you want to preserve the ambiance, and everybody loves it. Everybody comes out onto East Road and says, we didn't know this was part of East Windsor. We thought East Windsor was just Route 5 and 91, and it's beautiful out here. Well, it is, and there's a lot of farmers who are just holding on because of, they just want to. So you get to a point where you just can't want to anymore. And that's where we're sort of on the edge at this point. And you have to understand the thought processes that goes through people who you want them all to hold on to farming, but you don't know what kind of a trapeze that is holding on to that farming. So farmers need some help, but it's interesting, we don't want to gift of saying, well, we can subsidize you and we can, no, not that. We just want to be able to do what this soil deserves, I guess is what. So.
And how many generations you guys been in town? A lot of generations, I'm sure.
Not high school sweethearts.
College sweetheart.
Yeah.
In a midlife crisis, and I started a farm.
Yeah.
Sometimes I still don't know why I'm doing it. I think it's something about working the land, being outside. I can't explain it. It's like in my psyche. Worked a lot of years in tobacco, which is what our valley is known. But that soil will grow other things, believe me. Oh, yeah. And wealth. I think 50 years from now, it's going to be a major issue. It is now. Yeah. It's better to be able to grow it here than to import it from California.
You can see that in the customers we have. We sell everything retail right at the farm. We don't do any wholesaling. You want our stuff, you have to come to the farm. And people are astonished at what can grow around them. And they don't even know it. And it's just such a learning curve for people that live in town.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Oh, name for record, sir.
Glenn Reichley, 27 Harrington Road. Farmed my entire life, never owned a farm. I'm on the other end of the spectrum. Leased the ground, leased it all over, leased hundreds and hundreds of acres. Still lease it. No sense in buying a farm now, at my point in life, nobody's left to take over. So what can the town do to preserve this? I hear all about, let's preserve the land, let's preserve the land. Does you no good. You gotta preserve the young people that want to do it. Seems right. By the time you get into OAG, you're a high school student. Game's over. There's only a few people that are interested in farming then. If anybody comes out the ag end of it. It has to start young, and it's only gonna be a few people that are gonna get into it. Because it is a living hell, but you love every day of it. Myself, I have not pulled a paycheck out of my company 4 years. But I'm still alive, still going, we're still harvesting. So the upswing on everything is, me not owning a farm, I had the opportunity to farm the best ground in South Windsor, East Windsor, Ellington, And it's incredible. I saw it all get flushed down the toilet by building and big development and this and that. So the other flip side is that I hear everybody complain about this solar deal that went on down here in East Windsor. You're right, what you said, Jim, about you can do what you want with your property. It was for sale. Solar people bought it. So everybody's up in arms, support the farm, support the farmer. Why? Where were you when the farmer really wanted some support? I drive by everybody's house, they got a sign out, no more solar, no more solar. Put your money where your mouth is then, buy the farm. The farmer sure struggled his ass off to own it. And it's his to do what he wants with it. I'm a real proud American farmer, and I'll keep going, along with these gentlemen. But if we don't get a younger generation involved, we're done. 70% of what we consume every single day comes from another country. That's fact. So it's not all about preserving the land. Better get people to wake up and see. Look at this crowd here. I'm 63. These guys are right behind me. There's nobody in here that's 25, 30 years old. Nobody. But what I have done and what the town can move forward and do also, with me leasing the amount of land I do, I work with every other farmer that I do. And I swap ground, we swap things out, we have to survive. I'm working with two young guys that can't get a leg up. And I give them ground and I gave them tractors to farm with to help them out. The point with that being is, that's what the town needs to focus on. Why preserve the ground if you can't preserve or help somebody out that's a younger generation? So there's no way.
So maybe a meeting with the Board of Education.
I had that note
So that's where it starts from.
You know, we've
Yeah.
all been to the bottom of the barrel. And
Another agent
it's
that
so
we
bad.
talked to too. Very probably there are
Something about that.
agencies that
But
can
there's somebody
catch
trying
on
to get
the knowledge.
paid. Right.
Right.
All you guys have, all this knowledge, you know when to plant the stuff, but what you have to do to keep it going, that's a lot of knowledge. If you're just starting out, it's hard to, that's the hardest
Well,
part.
honestly, the state has fallen behind on helping out the farmers the past 40 years.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna hit a sore subject right now. For instance, I peddled produce when I was a kid, all through my adult life in the Hartford Regional Market. I battled the state of Connecticut on this. State of Connecticut thinks it's great that we have every town, every community have a farmer's market. Worst decision the state ever made in their life. It depleted the commercial farm and all that goes on in the Hartford market. Nothing goes on in there. It's a ghost town. There's only a few farmers left in there. Now we pushed it all to these towns and cities. There's only a handful of farmers that do that. Because you cannot go there once a day or once every Saturday and sell your produce. What are you doing it the rest of the week? Because the people at all of these small town farms and stuff, no disrespect, I like everybody that grows stuff and wants to peddle stuff, but you're not farming. You're not helping us out. And I'll give you a perfect example. When I'd be in that regional market and I'm sitting next to this fella right here, and we're selling corn at the same price, a bag of corn for $10 a bag. This gentleman looks at his watch. It's 6:30 in the morning. He drops his down to $2 a bag so he can get to work to go to work at Brett Whitney. I'm stuck. I gotta peddle that bag of corn to survive somehow. That's a farmer. No disrespect to if you're a hobby farmer or what, but what the state did, pulling that out of there and going with these, it took a big chunk out of the commercial farmers to peddle stuff. So they want to know what towns and cities can do to help? We're all ears.
I just have a question.
Yep.
Don't some of the farmers sell to local grocery stores? Cause it looks, when you go to Big Y, it's
Yeah.
like locally grown and it says whoever,
Yeah, well, I shipped sweet corn to Stop and Shop for 38 years. Now, I started to peddle some squash to Geisler's. Guess what happened? So, Geisler's, shouldn't say this, but I'll tell you, this is what happened this town. They want to promote local farming. I walked into the store. This time of year, my squash isn't in there. Squash from Canada, called the buyer. How's this a local farm? I can't control everything that's local farm. You can't advertise that as local.
right?
It's another country. Doesn't matter. It's corporate America. They don't care. And that happens every day.
When I look at the produce at Big Y,
Yeah.
it like names the farm it came from.
Right. Big Y is a great advocate of that with the name on there.
Yeah.
They are. But
The
That's about it.
things fall through the cracks in everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
we could go through this all night long.
Yeah.
But my point being is that it's easy for somebody to just sit there and say, oh, well, that kid or that person put out the wrong product there.
Mhm.
When the
Yeah.
buyer blatantly tells you, oh, well, that's all right. Well, no, then take that down, that's not fresh, locally grown.
Right.
Not who and anybody wants to grow anything, but it's the way it goes, and state of Connecticut completed the regional market hard.
No, it's just we as the customer think we're buying local when it says whoever's farm.
Sometimes you are, sometimes you're not, a lot of the time you're not. That's right, 70% of what you consume is not local.
Anybody else? Albert, anybody else? Anything else?
Value added products or advertising, signage, any of that kind of stuff affect anybody? Or-
You mean like cider that we make?
No, I mean,
It's about-
anything to promote your business.
Like the signs, we had a little fight to get those signs on the corners.
Any way to do any more to,
Those signs are invaluable because people get lost out here. They, even with GPS, whatever they have, they still don't know where they are. And they just love the signs. We had to fight to get them bigger than the people on some corners said, you can't put it on my lawn, and, you know, technically from the time, we could put it on their lawn. But, I think that just the signage alone is very important.
Yep.
Because people do get lost out here.
in the previous PSC, did have a map of the farms in town, like you could take all the businesses, we don't have a lot of retail farming in Spencer, but we do have the Agricultural Commission developed a list of all the farms in town, what they produce.
Would you post it on?
Well, we tried to do it, been on the Fire Village Voice, and we're trying to get it out there, but that's what the best way to get it out there is.
Well, the internet is the best way to get it out there, really. Because people just, they Google.
Google.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah,
corn,
exactly.
beans, whatever they buy. And they'll show up.
Well,
We have some,
go ahead.
a few, let's say, not arguments, but disagreements on, the size, not so much the placement of signs, there are pathfinder signs. The state came up with the highway signs, which, are not enough, because, a lot of people come out here for the first time and there's just forks in the road, there's not four corners, and they pick the wrong fork and then, they're on South Windsor or something, I don't know, Summers. But, I had a few points of discussion and, got a little heated one particular meeting, but, by and large, they're very supportive of the signs. So they get a lot of feedback, a lot of people from other towns asked us about, how East Windsor came about with that, so I think we kind of led the way there, about 15 years ago now, I don't know, 10 years ago. Any other ideas about?
how to move forward 10 years down the road, huh?
Yeah.
Well, if it's in the P O C D, then you can go down that road. If it's not in there, then,
Yeah.
you can't. So as far as applying for grants and incentives.
So would it be fair to say that your biggest
For education.
fear?
Education,
would
you need a
be
farm school.
there's no
Farm
the
school.
next generation. doesn't-
Farm
Well, you
And
can't
then
be,
your biggest, your hope would be that systems are put in place to educate from grammar school on up.
you can't, make people do things, but opening up their eyes is another thing. There isn't a person that I've ever met that's not interested in flowers or growing or something. Somebody will always stop and look at something that's actually growing.
So we have the same problem in the trades. Average guys age in trades are in their 50s. Because the next 3 or 4 generations below us, they didn't do anything in school. So it's got to start at school.
We work together. Farmers have to work together. You know, you have no choice. It's the same with tradesmen.
Yep.
You gotta work together and then pool
We-
your resources.
And we can't find anybody.
10 years down the road. Oh,
Gonna be in trouble.
Willing to share with the Board of Ed ideas.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
It's kind of interesting that with the community-wide survey, the number one issue is education,
Yeah.
right?
You know, and another thing is, you know, when we have this plow day for the gardens, Jim brings his horses.
Yeah.
Not too many people show up, to be honest with you. Not too many. You know, which for a farming community, it's a pretty interesting thing. But
It's beautiful.
there's no, it's pretty disappointing as to what goes on.
Yep.
But
A little better each year, though, right?
sometimes it does.
This year, great.
This year was good, yeah, but I mean, you know, it's,
Partly, probably the weather and the kids have so many activities.
Yeah.
the weather makes me laugh. I've seen people on football and soccer games,
That's right.
freezing cold,
In the rain.
as opposed to just coming out for a 2-hour event, you know what I'm saying?
Society has changed,
Yeah, and-
unfortunately.
And God bless you, if that's what you're into, good for you, you know?
It hasn't changed for the better, but it's changed.
You know what, if it's an agricultural community, as they say, and that's what's on the town seal,
Mhm.
maybe the town should, step it up, and maybe promote it a little bit.
Yep.
Push it.
Well, this is a very informative meeting that we.
Why don't we have an ag day?
Okay.
Ag day,
Agricultural day.
that's reservoir.
Yeah. Oh, I was just had a great idea today. Well, Steve's got his tractor museum.
Yes, he does.
Hey. Right down.
I just, anything that might entice people to get people interested in them.
Yeah.
I always found it interesting on 4th of July, all the tractors people put out in this town.
Yeah,
It's very nice.
so technically that's a zoning violation.
Is it up for a day?
Want to go there? Not anymore. You got 30 feet. You're welcome.
It's one day.
Free event.
Yeah.
Right.
To be demoted.
It's the gateway.
All right, anybody else? All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. We appreciate it. It was very informative and hopefully you can make some notes on that and send it off to the Board of Ed.
So, and the commission's gonna be hosting a vision workshop for the plant conservation development in December. Okay, so agriculture will be one of the topics.
Yeah.
And also I like the idea of saving the soil. That's a good idea, you guys, save the land, save the grade A soil.
Mhm.
Put something in there for that, some caveat in that, language in there.
For the kids.
Absolutely.
So,
One more quick question, Jim.
sure, Kirk, go ahead.
That can be forwarded to the selectmen, board of selectmen as well.
Sure.
Say that again?
You want to forward it to the Board of Selectmen? The,
What? Yeah, they,
discuss, yeah.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah.
Report out.
Yeah, they need to know.
Well, thanks everybody for coming. You got anything else, Albert? You're all set?
Good, yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Very cool.
Yeah, really good. Okay. Correspondence, none. Business meeting, I'll answer for none. Executive session, none. Motion for adjournment,
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I second.
motion by Stacy, second by who? Oh, Wayne?
Wait.
Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion adjourned at 8:00.